Hi there. Now I thought I'd do a quick video showing how I install and fasten, secure a flexible snake in my balsa models. Now in the right situation, flexible snakes can be really good for connecting this servo to a control surface. They've got a certain amount of bend while still retaining very little friction, so they can be really useful, as I say, in the right situation. Right, I've been working on this flying wing and I'm ready to fit the coupling now for the engine, for the throttle. And I've got this PAW diesel engine and we can see the throttle connection here. Now the engine just fits on the side of the engine mounts like that, and we need to have a link coming through here to a servo, which I've got in a kind of radio bay here. I've got my short length of plastic tubing which the snake is going to travel through. So essentially I need to secure this piece of tubing through the balsa, and if we turn this over we can see there's a hole there I've put for the tubing to go in. It also goes through what is essentially a fuel tank bay. It goes through some shear webbing, just missing the spars, and into the radio compartment there to link up with the servo. And we can see if we just slide in the snake, or the internal bit of the snake should I say. Let me just do this, I can't do it with one hand. There we go. There, we can see how that will work. So what we need to do is we need to glue this in place. Now, if we just roughen this up, stick it in and glue it with something like epoxy or super glue, it's not going to hold. It's going to come loose. I can guarantee that. It might hold for a little bit, but it's not a long-term solution. So we need to think of something that we can help us to hold the pipe, and also that will attract the glue, or at least hold on to the glue to hold it within the balsa. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap this tube with some masking tape, and I'm going to be using this Scotch blue masking tape. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my tube in through the two holes so I know roughly where it needs to be, and that is roughly where I want to have it. Once I've glued it in, I can always trim the length of that tube easy enough if I need to. So now I've got it in the right place, I'm just going to mark where it goes through the shear webbing. Now we'll mark it here just using a marker pen, and I will also mark it with the pen just where it goes through the sheeting at the front, and I'll just mark it here as well. Just want to be careful not to get that on the balsa. So now we can see where the gluing surface is going to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap some of this M3 Scotch masking tape around that pipe, and this sticks really well, so it will really hold on to that plastic pipe. So first of all I'm going to do this bit. I'll just trim that a little bit more. So now this is the bit where it goes through the shear webbing. Just wrap that round. Doesn't need to be a lot. In fact, I'll just trim that a little bit shorter. So we've got about 2 wraps around there. And now I'm going to cut another piece of the tape for the bit that goes through the sheeting and get that wrapped around. And I'm actually going to angle that so we don't see the blue tape very much on the outside edge there. It's mainly on the inside where we're going to glue it. I just don't want the blue tape showing. We could use a clear tape, but I really like this blue tape because it hangs on really well. So I'll get that front piece done, Right, I've now wrapped my tape around this outside sheath, and you can see I've cut the masking tape there at a bit of an angle, so that when we put it through, I'll just turn the wing over, when we put it through here and into the through the shear webbing, we can see that we can put it in so that you've got very little blue showing, so it won't show on the outside of the model. So what I can do now is I will glue around here, but it will just be on the pipe, and I'll roughen the pipe up a little bit just to help. But on the inside we can see we've got quite a big gluing surface there, so I will glue all around here and the sheeting, and make sure, if I just bring that in, it's a little bit dark in there, but I'll glue on the inside, attaching it to the tape. On the back here I will also glue around the tape and the shear webbing to, if I move that, just worried the light isn't very good. So I'll glue around here on the tape and the shear webbing, and also if I turn it round we can see on the tank, in the tank bay, I will glue around the tape and the shear webbing that side. But, and there is a big but, I think it's important at this stage not to assume that we've got that correct. So what I'm going to do before I glue it is I am going to mount my engine, and I'm going to make sure that this is in the right place, because the last thing we want to do is use a flexible snake, which is really good for bending and allowing us to do awkward connections sometimes, but not have it lined up very well. So I've got that, if I can reach and get the snake there, and that gives us a really nice smooth travel for the throttle linkage there. Now I will probably leave this as long as it is, but we can trim it if we want. And if this was on a fixed wing model and it was coming out, say the snake was coming out to connect to the tailplane, to the elevator, I would probably trim that really just flush with the balsa and sand it flush. I've done that many times, and it's still held by the epoxy on the inside, but just looks a lot sleeker. But you can see that looks really nice now. So I will get this glued and we'll have a look at what it looks like. Right, well, I've now got this glued in with 30-minute epoxy, and hopefully you can just see in there the glue around that tape. And this 30-minute epoxy will hold on to the tape really well. It glues and sticks to it really nicely, and the tape sticks to the plastic sheath really well. It's quite hard to get off once you've got it on. So I'm quite confident that this is really nice and secure. So I'm quite confident now that this flexible snake isn't going to go anywhere. It's not going to work its way loose over time. So I can carry on now in confidence and get this thing covered, all ready to get it set up with a really nice smooth running control linkage to that throttle. Anyway, I hope you found this useful and interesting. Thanks very much for watching.